When you hear the name, Norton, your mind instantly conjures a legacy built on speed, rebellion, and raw mechanical artistry. But hidden in the pages of motorcycle history, there lies a beast not many talk about, a machine forged in the chaos of dual demands, off-road dominance and street supremacy. This isn't just a motorcycle, this is the Norton P11A Ranger, a wild fusion of British engineering and American grit that wasn't just built to ride, it was built to conquer. And once you understand it, you'll never look at another Scrambler the same way again. Imagine the late 1960s. The British motorcycle industry is still roaring, and in America, desert racing is catching fire. Riders want power, agility, and a machine that can leap over dunes and slice through dirt trails, but also cruise back home on tarmac without skipping a beat. That's when Norton, with its racing DNA, teamed up with Matchless and birthed something bold, something unhinged, the Norton P11 series. And standing tall in that evolution is the P11A Ranger, leaner, meaner, and even more aggressive than its predecessor. This was Norton's answer to the American dream of freedom, fury, and off-road glory. Beneath the rugged, minimal frame of the Ranger lies the true heart of a warrior, a 750cc vertical twin-engine, inherited from the Norton Atlas. It's not about smooth elegance, it's raw torque, instant power, and an attitude that throws you forward the moment you crack open that throttle. Producing around 55 horsepower, this air-cooled brute was no polished showpiece. It rattled, it roared, and it rode like it had something to prove. Whether you were on a dusty fire trail in California or dodging potholes on an English backroad, the Ranger didn't ask for permission, it demanded respect. What made this machine even more thrilling was its weight, or lack thereof. With a dry weight of roughly 170 kilograms, 375 pounds, it was stripped to the essentials. A lightweight frame borrowed from the Matchless G85 CS, aluminum fenders, high pipes, and no electric start, all to shed pounds and boost agility. This bike didn't come to pamper you. It came to push you. Every bump on the trail, every turn on the asphalt, it made sure you felt it all. And that's exactly what made it exhilarating. But power alone isn't what defined the Ranger. It was the brutal honesty of its design. It didn't wear a mask. It didn't try to be comfortable or refined. It was built for a specific purpose: to ride fast, hard, and wild. Dual sport before the term even had weight, the Ranger gave you dirt-ready knobby tires, a high-mounted exhaust to clear obstacles, and just enough fuel in the 2.2-gallon tank to keep your adrenaline running for hours. And if you were the kind of rider who didn't fear getting your hands dirty, the minimal electronics and rugged build meant repairs were straightforward. You and the machine, nothing else in the way. The price back then, around $1,200 USD, give or take, reasonable for the time, but the true cost wasn't in dollars. It was in commitment. The Ranger wasn't the bike you bought casually. It was a machine that asked something from you: courage, confidence, madness. If you didn't have those, you wouldn't understand what this motorcycle was really for. And then came the hidden truths, the quirks that gave this bike its soul. The left foot gear shift felt alien to some American riders, but once mastered, it became second nature. The vibration at high RPMs. That wasn't a flaw. That was Norton's way of reminding you this wasn't a machine for the faint of heart. The fuel tank was tiny, but that was never the point. This wasn't a tourer. This was for charging through the world in short, furious bursts. The magneto ignition setup was tricky in cold weather, but when it roared to life, the sound alone made it worth the struggle. A deep, angry growl that echoed with defiance. It didn't whisper, it shouted. The Ranger didn't survive long in the production line. By 1969, just as it was beginning to build a following among desert racers and hardcore enthusiasts, it was discontinued. Why? Norton was shifting gears toward the Commando, smoother, sleeker, more road-focused. But in the process, they left behind something irreplaceable. The P11A Ranger became a legend, not because it was the fastest or the most advanced, but because it was real. Unapologetically real. Today, spotting a Norton Ranger is like finding buried treasure. Collectors know its worth, and those who've ridden one speak of it with reverence. Prices for surviving models have climbed steeply, often fetching well over $15,000 if in pristine condition. But even if it's rusted, even if the paint's chipped, a Norton P11A Ranger carries something no modern bike can replicate: pure, mechanical soul. It doesn't need traction control. It doesn't need fuel injection. It doesn't need to babysit the rider. It just needs open terrain, a firm grip, and a rider willing to listen to the story it's ready to scream. So what does the Ranger teach us in a world of ride modes, TFT displays, and automatic shifting? It reminds us that motorcycling isn't about technology, it's about emotion. About grit. About leaning into the wind and letting instinct take over. It's a time capsule from an era when motorcycles weren't lifestyle statements, they were rebellion on two wheels. They were raw, imperfect, alive. The Norton P11A Ranger was a bike built for those who wanted more than just transport. It was built for those who wanted to feel alive every second their tires touched the earth. A machine without compromise, without filters, without fear. And in a world increasingly sanitized and automated, the Ranger stands as a howling reminder of what it truly means to ride free.